So we were talking before the show started about
Mm-hmm.
all of the great murals downtown, talking about seeing more live performances, all of these great
Right.
art activities. And certainly from the perspective of the Downtown Creative District, they're getting a lot of their juice from this
Mm-hmm.
program that was set up by Governor Hickenlooper, where he said, man, the arts really have an impact on the economy, not
Mm-hmm.
only in Colorado's big Front Range metropolises, but
Mm-hmm.
even in little ski communities in the mountains,
Right.
even in rural communities like Mancos and Ridgeway. You're
Right.
seeing the arts have an impact not only on people's lives, but on the dollar, on the economy in those towns. And so he set up this program that was designed to foster the arts as an economic driver for Coloradans. And we have been a downtown certified creative district since 2014. We were one of the
Wow.
first. Colorado Springs was one of the first cities to get a certified creative district, which comes with help from the State Office of Economic Development.
Huh.
So we are seeing support for our artists and the impact they have on our local economy coming from the state and really making an impact in Colorado Springs.
Well, you're very passionate about that, and definitely, I think we can tell where you've used your degree. The degree has paid off. Are you sure it wasn't in history?
Well, I've come to love the history of this town, and I think it's always fun to surprise people with some of the stuff that they might have been less aware of about this community.
No, I think it's fantastic. I have some photographic prints of Colorado, back in the like Nikola Tesla era,
Oh
and
yeah.
of our street or of Tejon, just different that then and now. And my husband's military and he enjoys history, so we get the historic books of every area that we've been to. But I really wasn't aware of that art history. Especially, I think we arrived in 2014,
Oh
just as that
wow.
designation was coming into play. And I know there are various initiatives, and we go to the Pike Peak Center and various things like that, and we've absolutely seen like with the Olympic Museum. That is an art statement in and of itself. It's
100%.
huge. And we had a guest on the show a couple weeks ago, and I think we're going to have him back here soon about the Asian Cultural Center, other types of things that we're doing. But it's actually even in noticing as I'm walking downtown, where there would be an art display, not just the historic monuments, that you would, typically see, but really some art initiatives, some paint, like murals being painted, and moving art exhibits and different types of things like that. And you're an artist in your own right, aren't you?
Yes, I have maintained a studio painting practice since I moved back to Colorado Springs after college.
Okay, and what type of paintings do you do?
Well, let's see. I have a couple different series, but I do narrative figure painting, so I'm painting people.
Okay.
I'm not just splashing color up there and talking about my feelings that way. I really like to paint the human figure, and I like to tell a story through the human figure.
Oh, wow.
So the works that I do tend to have a certain amount of ambiguity. You're not quite sure what you're seeing, but you can easily build yourself a narrative based on what you're seeing in front of you. And I think that's such an interesting type of art to do, because you're really working in tandem with the viewer to create the piece of art, which is not only what's on the canvas, but what's being perceived in the mind of the person looking at it.
Right. Okay. And so tell me how you got into that type of work.
I had a wonderful mentor. My first job in Colorado Springs was working for the Independent, the local news weekly, and I was sent out to interview this guy who owned a gallery downtown, and I was interviewing him about his next show. And as we got to talking, he said, well, you really seem to have a passion for this kind of stuff. I teach classes. And I said, I've never picked up a paintbrush.
Really?
I don't know how I feel about that. He said, no, why don't you come on down and just give it a try? So I'm walking down this alley off Tejon Street at night, going into this little historic garage building, and it's full of just amazing people,
Wow.
military veterans, people in the business world, young parents, this wonderful mix of people, and they're all there because they realize that painting is something that makes them happy. And I realized
Wow.
I was one of those people too.
Oh, neat.